The ocean never lies. When the wind begins to howl and the waves rise like mountains, it is the sea's way of warning mankind. Something unstoppable is coming. In the last 24 hours, Vietnam has been holding its breath. Across the coastline, loudspeakers echo with urgent messages, sirens pierce the humid night, and families rush to pack whatever they can carry. Over 15,000 people have been evacuated, their homes left behind to face the fury of the storm alone. This storm has a name, Bualoi, a swirling giant with winds screaming up to 133 kilometers per hour, tearing through the South China Sea on a direct path toward Vietnam. Airports are shut down, flights canceled, fishing boats forced back to shore. The nation prepares for impact, but no one truly knows what awaits them once Bualoi makes landfall. Will Vietnam endure the wrath of nature once again? Or will this storm leave scars that will take generations to heal? This is the story of Typhoon Bualoi. In the coastal provinces of central Vietnam, the mood is tense. Fishing boats return hurriedly to shore, their nets still heavy with the day's catch, abandoned in haste. At the harbors, men tie down their vessels with ropes as thick as their arms, praying that the anchors will hold against the coming waves. In the villages, evacuation orders echo through the night. Mothers wrap their children in raincoats, carrying bags filled with rice, drinking water, and a few treasured belongings. Fathers lock the doors, uncertain if those doors will still be standing when they return. Schools, community halls, and sturdy government buildings are transformed into temporary shelters, crammed with families seeking refuge. Airports in the region are silent, 4 of them shut down, flights canceled without hesitation. The nation is bracing itself. Bualoi is not just another storm. For many, it feels like a beast, circling in the darkness, waiting for its moment to strike. Then, the skies open. Rain falls not in drops, but in sheets, slamming against rooftops and flooding streets within minutes. The wind screams like 1,000 voices, bending trees until they snap and hurling debris through the air like deadly projectiles. Electricity fails. Entire towns are plunged into darkness, lit only by the sporadic flashes of lightning that reveal for a split second the scale of the chaos outside. In coastal villages, waves taller than houses crash against seawalls, spilling over and swallowing streets whole. Inside the shelters, people huddle together, listening to the roof groan and the windows shudder. A child cries, his sobs drowned out by the roar of the storm. Outside, rescue workers in bright raincoats fight their way through torrents of water, searching for anyone left behind. For hours, the storm does not relent. Every gust of wind feels like a hammer, pounding on the fragile defenses of human civilization. It is a battle between the fury of nature and the fragile determination of man. By dawn, the storm begins to weaken, leaving behind a trail of devastation. Streets are rivers of muddy water, carrying plastic bottles, tree branches, and shattered wood. Entire neighborhoods are unrecognizable. Rooftops ripped away, walls collapsed, power lines tangled in the flood. In some areas, villages are cut off completely, roads buried under landslides, bridges washed away. Helicopters circle above, dropping supplies to those trapped. Rescue teams wade through waist-deep water, carrying the elderly on their backs, guiding children to safety. The human toll is heavy. Families return to homes that no longer exist, their possessions reduced to rubble. The smell of damp wood and seawater fills the air. Yet amid the destruction, small acts of courage emerge. Neighbors sharing food, volunteers handing out blankets, strangers helping strangers. Bualoi has passed, but its shadow lingers. For those who survived the night, the memory of the storm will never fade. When the storm finally loosens its grip, silence feels almost unnatural. But within that silence comes realization. Mankind is small, fragile, vulnerable against the immensity of nature. Typhoon Bualoi was not just wind and rain. It was a brutal reminder of how quickly lives can be turned upside down, how homes, memories, and livelihoods can vanish in a single night. The storm stripped away the illusion of control, exposing just how fragile the human world truly is. And yet, in the heart of disaster, something else emerged. Amidst the wreckage, people came together. Neighbors, who barely exchanged words before, now stood side by side, clearing debris and sharing food. Soldiers waded through floodwaters carrying children on their shoulders, while volunteers distributed warm meals in the shelters. Strangers became family. Fear gave way to solidarity. This is the paradox of calamity. It destroys, but it also reveals. It shows the cruelty of nature, but also the courage of humankind. For every roof torn away, there is a pair of hands helping to rebuild. For every life disrupted, there is another life reaching out in compassion. Bualoi may fade from the weather charts, its winds dissipating into the open sky, but its memory will remain. Not only as a storm of destruction, but as a story of resilience, of how a nation can endure, and how even in darkness, the light of humanity refuses to be extinguished.